Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session at the Reactors. My name is Rav, and I'm the Program Manager at Reactor London. Before we begin, please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We're all here to learn, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, and please be kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat will be open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. Today is the very first episode of QuickWins, which is amazing. It's actually a series hosted by Johan and Sean, who I'm actually going to bring up on screen now, who will give you an overview of what QuickWins is. So, hi, Johan. Hi, Sean.
Hello.
Awesome. Thank you, Rav. Yeah. Very quickly, because we don't want to eat into it, because it's supposed to be a quick wins for everyone. The idea is quick wins is a series of short 30-minute or less presentations aimed at developers across the world. And the aim is to help realize value quickly on Azure or Microsoft technologies by showcasing features or easy to follow steps to build your own solutions.
Yep. And following the success of the pilot late last year, we've actually come back as a season on Microsoft Reactor. So thank you to Microsoft Reactor for hosting us. So the first season will be 5 episodes in length overall, including this one. So it'll be running for the next 4 weeks as well, every Thursday at 4 p.m. UK time. So please join us every week for more quick wins.
Awesome.
And now we'll be handing it over to Suparna, who's going to give us quick wins, how to set up a Azure DevOps pipeline for Power Platforms.
Hello everyone, I'm Suparna. I'm a senior customer engineer at Microsoft UK. I help my customers to adopt and effectively consume the Power Platform services. And in today's session, I am going to talk about how we can build the Azure DevOps pipelines for Power Platform. So I am going to share my screen. Sean and Ivan, I hope you can see my screen. Just confirming to make sure that it is shared.
Yes, Suparna, we can see your screen.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Rav. Thank you, Sean and Ivan, for the introduction. And here is my agenda for today. First, I will talk about the basics of Power Platform ALM. Then I will quickly touch what are the Azure DevOps build tools for Power Platform. And finally, I will demo you how we can set up the automated deployment for Power Platform using the Azure DevOps pipelines. So to start with Power Platform ALM basics. In Power Platform, we package all the components like this, the chatbots, the Canvas apps, model-driven apps, and the tables all together in a solution. And when we want to move from one environment to other, like from my development environment to the QA or the production environment, we do this using the solutions. Now, there are 2 types of solutions. When I'm going to create a solution for the first time in my development environment, I create it as unmanaged. So the unmanaged solution, this is basically the collection of the references of the objects. That means the Canvas apps, chatbots, or the entities within it. There is no restriction of adding or removing or updating anything within the unmanaged solution. And when we are moving this unmanaged solution from my development environment to a higher environment like QA or production, we export it as managed. The managed solution, this is basically, we can consider it as a closed box. Unlike the unmanaged solutions, in managed solutions, we won't be able to add or remove anything. We can't export the managed solutions. And it is recommended that using this unmanaged solution, which is not actively being customized. Now, as the ALM based practice, it is recommended that we should be keeping the solution in the source control, and we will be using the automated deployment pipelines while deploying it from one environment to another. So, as we are talking about the source control, we can use any of the source control, like we can use Azure DevOps or we can use the GitHub. Now, for the deployment and doing the deployment as in an automated manner, we can use the automated deployment pipelines. So these Azure DevOps pipelines, these can be used with both the version controls, GitHub and Azure repositories. And there are build tools available for Power Platform, which we can use with this Azure DevOps pipelines. So these are basically the build tasks which we will be using for the deployment of the Power Platform. Now, before going to the demo, I would like to give you an overview of what I'm going to do in the demo. I am creating an unmanaged solution into my development environment. Then I will be creating a build pipeline, which will be taking this unmanaged solution from my development environment in a zipped manner, and then it will unpack it and will put it into the Azure DevOps repository. Then I will be creating a second build pipeline, which will be taking my unpacked version of my code from my source control repository, and then it will pack it, and then we will be exporting it into this my interim build environment. From this build environment, the same pipeline which I have used earlier for deploying into this build environment as an unmanaged version, I will be using the same pipeline, and I will be exporting that unmanaged solution as managed, and will be storing the artifacts into the source control. Then I will be creating a release pipeline. This release pipeline, it will be taking the build artifacts from the source control and will deploy the solution as a managed one into my production environment. So this is basically the full flow how I'm going to implement the automated deployment using the Azure DevOps pipelines. I have talked a lot. Now let me jump into a demo. Okay, so this is my development environment, and here I have created one unmanaged solution. This is my unmanaged solutions, this demo Azure DevOps solution, and I have two more environments. This demo build, I will be using it as my interim build environment, and then there is my demo prod environment, which I will be using as my production environment. So now I have my Power Platform environments ready. The next thing I need to do, I need to go into my Azure DevOps. So this is my Azure DevOps organization. And within this organization, I have created a project. So this is my project. And in this project, I have created the repository. This is my ALM project repository. This will be used for storing the source control files. Now, before starting creation of the pipelines, I need to make sure that all the security and all the permissions are in place. So for that, I will be going to the project settings for this project. And then I am here in my repositories. And here, when I select my repository and go to the security tab, so I need to make sure that project collection build service account, for this account, this contribute permission is set to allow, and also for this user, ALM project service build service, this one also contribute is set to allow. If I am not setting this up, I won't be able to run the pipelines. So now my project and my repository is ready. The next thing I need to do is to install the Azure DevOps build tools for Power Platform from Visual Studio Marketplace. So I can click in this browse marketplace, and from here I will be going to the marketplace. So in this marketplace, I will be searching for this Power Platform. And I need to install it. So when I click the get it free, it will be asking me. So see here, I have logged in into this for this Azure DevOps, and it will be loading my organizations, and I need to select my organization, and here I will be downloading it, and I'll be installing it for my organizations. So once this is ready, the next step will be creating the pipelines. But before creation of the pipelines, I need to do one more thing. That is, I need to make sure that the credentials with which I will be running the pipelines, that has permission into my Power Platform environments. So for that, I will be using the service principles. I can use a generic user account with username and password, but it is recommended that I should be using the service principles. So to create the service principal, I need to go into this Azure Active Directory. So I am currently into my Azure Active Directory, and I should be going to this app registrations, and I will be clicking this new registration, which will be creating a new app for me. But I have already created this app, so I'm not going to create a new one because we have very less time here. So this is my app, ADO app. This I have created as the service principal, and I will be using this in the service connections that I'll be using within the pipelines. So I should be adding the proper API permissions for Power Platform into the service principal. So how we can do that? After creation of the service principal, I will be going here, add a permission, and then I need to select this dynamic CRM and then this delegated permission, and make sure that user impersonation, this checkbox is checked. And once I have added this, I will be granting the admin consent for my entire tenant. So now my app registration is done. I have added the API permission. The next thing I will be doing is adding the client secrets. So I can do it from here, new client secret. I will be putting the description, experts. It will be creating the secret for me. And I need to copy this secret somewhere, because as you can see, the client secret that I created earlier, it is not showing me the value. So I have saved the client secret here so that I can use this into my service connections. So now let me go back to my Azure DevOps, and here I am going into the service connections, and I need to create a new service connection. So this will be a Power Platform service connection. And here you can see I will have to provide the server URL, tenant ID, application ID, and the client secret of the application ID. So all these three details, I am getting it from my service principal, which I created earlier. And now regarding the server URL, so this server URL is the environment URL of the environment with which my pipeline will be communicating. And in my case, as I'm using three environments, one is my development environment, one is my interim build environment, and one is my production environment. So I have created three service connections here. So this is my dev development environment service connection. And this server URL, I can get it from, if I'm coming here into my dev environment, and if I'm going to the session details, I will be seeing this instance URL. I need to copy this URL from here, and then I will be using it in my service connection. And in similar way, I have created the two other service connections for the build and production. These are the server URL or the URL of my build. And this is for the build one. This is the URL of my build environment. Now all the prerequisites are done. I will be jumping into creating the pipelines. Okay, so I'm going to create the pipeline. The first pipeline, the purpose of this will be getting my code, my solution from my Power Platform environment, and then export it and then put it as unpacked into my repository. So I'm going to create the pipeline, and I'll be using the classic editor. I am not using any of this. I am selecting this my repository and the branch, and I'm starting with the empty project. I need to provide the name of this project. And this is my agent job, and I will be adding the tasks here. I'm searching for Power Platform. And here I can see these are all the Power Platform build tool tasks for Azure DevOps. This came with the installation that I did earlier from this Azure Marketplace. Okay, so I'm not going to create a new pipeline right now. Rather, I will show you one of my existing pipeline. So this is the pipeline which I had created earlier for exporting from Dev. So this is my agent job. And this one point I need to make sure that this allows scripts to access the OAuth token. This is checked. If it is not checked, you will be getting the permission denied error. And in my agent job, I have added these tasks. The first task for any pipeline for Power Platform deployment will be the Power Platform tool installer. The second task, this is Power Platform export solution. So if you see the details of this task, here it is asking me what will be the authentication type. As I have created the service principal and I'm going to use this, I am selecting the service principal and I am selecting the service connection for the dev environment which I have created earlier. Now I need to provide the solution name. So this solution name, this is basically the name of the solution, not the display name. So you can see these two columns, display name and name. This is the this should be used in my pipeline, but I am not hard coding it. Rather, I am putting it into a variable. I have created this variable solution name and putting the value here so that I can use this pipeline for exporting another solution also. And then I need to provide the solution output file. So this variable build.artifact staging directory, this is the Azure DevOps predefined variable. So if you come here, this is the Microsoft official documentation. You will be able to see what are the predefined Azure DevOps variables available here. I can use any of these. So I am currently using this build.artifact staging directory. So this is basically giving this local path of the agent where any artifacts are copied. And then I'm providing the name of the output file, which will be same as the solution name. And now I am exporting it as an unmanaged solution, because in my source control, I will not store it as a managed solution, rather I'll store it as unmanaged. So I'm unchecking this box. So after exporting the solution, the next task is the unpack solution. Here also I'm providing the solution input file. This is similar to what I have provided in earlier step as the output file, and the target folder to unpack the solution. The target folder, the name of the target folder will be the solution name. And then finally, I need to write a command line script. This will be committing my changes into my GitHub repository. So once I have completed creating this pipeline, then I need to save and queue this. So if I queue this, in that case, this pipeline will be started running and it will be fetching my code from my development environment into the source control. So let's have a look how it will be bringing, what is the format. So if I'm coming into my repository, I can see that from a previous run, this folder has been created and it is storing the files like this. This is my Canvas app. This is my entity. So if I come here and open this unmanaged solution, I can see that there are just one Canvas app and one table or entity here. So both of them has been stored into my source control repository. This is my Canvas app and this is my table or entity. So my first pipeline is done. Let me go to my second pipeline. I will be creating another pipeline for building the managed solution. So I am opening it to show you what are the tasks included in this pipeline. So this is my pipeline for building the managed solution. And here also my first step is this Power Platform tool installer. The second step, this is packing the solution. So what it will do, it will take the files what I have showed you just now within my repository, and it will pack those. So it is, I'm providing the source folder or solution to pack. Here also I'm using this solution name variable. And what will be the output file name that I'm providing here. And what is the type of the solution? Here I'm providing it as unmanaged because the final objective of this pipeline is deploying it into my build environment as unmanaged, and from there it will be importing as a managed version. So in this task, I am deploying it as unmanaged. And in my next task, here I am importing the solution into my build environment. So here I need to use the service connection which I have created for my Power Platform build environment. I am providing this solution input file. And here also I am unchecking this import as managed solution option because I am importing as unmanaged. So once my solution is there in my build environment as unmanaged, the next step will be exporting the same solution as managed. So in this step, I am using the same service connection. I am putting the solution name and the output file. And here you can see the name of the solution output file. I have added _managed to make sure that we understand that this is the managed version of the same solution. And here I am checking the option of export as managed solution. So once this export is done, then what I'll be doing, I will publishing this artifact. So for that, I'm using this step, this publish artifact drop, and I'm putting this path to publish. And if I want that whenever a new code is committed into my source control, if I want this build pipeline to run, in that case, I will be going to the trigger and I will make sure that this enable continuous integration, this is checked, so that once the code is pushed into my repository, this pipeline will be triggered and the build will be done and the managed version will be coming into the build artifact. And for after that, I can create the release to deploy it into the production environment. So now my build pipelines are done. And the third step is creating the release pipeline. So I am here and I have created a release pipeline, and let me edit this pipeline and show you how I have done that. So in this release pipeline, these are my artifact. You can see here, this is the source. The source is same as the artifact that I had created into my previous build managed solution pipeline. And here I am putting this source alias as build. And if I want the continuous deployment, that means whenever a new artifact is available, if I want that it will be deployed into my production environment, in that case, I need to check this continuous deployment trigger. And in my release pipeline, if I see what are the tasks here, again, the first task is the Power Platform tool installer, and then this Power Platform import solution. Here I am using the connection for this Power Platform production environment, putting the name of the solution input file, and then I am checking that import as a managed solution. So now all my pipelines are done. Once I create this release pipeline, if I'm going into the manual process, in that case, I need to click on this create release. So a new release will be created, which will be doing the deployment into the production server. So let's have a quick look into the previous runs of my pipelines. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention, that I have created the service connections. I have created this Azure Active Directory app registration to make sure that all my pipelines are working fine. I need to add that app user, that service principal into all of my environments. So how will I do that? I will be coming to the environments, settings, application users, and there I will be adding this service principal with the system customizer role. So if I come here and go to the details, I will be able to see that I have added this user as system customizer. So this is my dev environment. Similarly for my other two environments. So this is my build environment and this is my production environment. For all of this, I have added this service principal as application user. Now let's have a look into the previous rounds of the pipelines. So if I want to see what are the steps it had performed, I will be able to see the log files from here, and if there was any error. So this is the place from where I can see what was the error and I can make the changes accordingly. So I can see this log file for all of these three pipelines that I had created. So now this is the entire process as I showed you right now how you can create the pipelines for automating the Power Platform deployment. So let's have a recap of the steps that I have performed. So these are the steps that you need to perform. Have your environments ready, development, interim, build, and prod. Then create the unmanaged solution into your development environment. The third step will be setting up your Azure DevOps organization. So the steps included here are creating the project within it, creating the repository which will be holding the source code, and provide the proper permission to this project collection build service account for the repository. Then we'll be installing this Microsoft Power Platform build tools into my Azure DevOps organization from the marketplace. And then I need to create the Azure app registration and add the app user into all of the three environments. And uh, the next step will be creating the service connections, which will be used within the pipelines with the service principle that we had created earlier. And finally, we'll be creating the pipelines. The two build pipelines export from dev and build a managed solution, and the release pipeline deploy to prod, which will be adding the artifact from the build pipeline and will be deploying into my production environment. So these are all the steps what I'll be using. So I think you had some understanding of how we are going to do the automated deployment of Power Platform. Thank you. So, Rev, now handing over to you.
Thank you so much, Suparna. We do have two questions. One is, I will pull that up on the screen from Fernando.
Okay.
It says, are these tasks part of the syllabus of the PL 400 or PL 600?
Okay, so this PL400, that is for this Power Platform Developer Associate. Yes, that includes this Power Platform ALM, and PL600, that is for the Solution Architect. So the one prerequisite of PL600 is you have to pass the PL400. Yes, so if you need to understand all these pipelines and everything, if you're going to prepare for PL400 and PL600.
Amazing. And then we also had a question from Paul. How does cost work for this?
Cost means if you are talking about licensing, if you are going to use the solutions are stored in Dataverse. So in that case, you will be requiring the premium license, the standard license that comes with the Office 365. You won't be able to use the Dataverse for that. So in that case, you will be requiring the premium licenses if you are using these Dataverse tables or something. But that doesn't mean all the users who will be creating these solutions, they will require this Dataverse license. Only if your solutions are using the Dataverse connector or any premium connector, you will be requiring the premium license. So that is one part. The another part is, as you are using the Azure DevOps, if you are going for a paid organization, in that case the cost of the organization will be required. Otherwise, there is the option for using the free Azure DevOps organization also.
That's great. I think that's what Paul was asking. about the Azure DevOps side of things, but I think you've explained it quite well. But thank you very much, Suparna. It was an amazing session. I'm just going to pull up a thank you note on the screen. Thank you for everybody. Thank you to everybody for joining this session. And obviously, I really hope you learned something quick in this session. And next week, we will be back, same time, same day at 4 o'clock. BST next Thursday, and our session for next week, it's a little bit complicated for me to pronounce, but I will say it. It's OWASP Top 10 for .NET developers. The information of that will be soon uploaded on our Microsoft Reactor meetup, which I have the link I've posted in the chats. So thank you everyone for joining, and we shall see you next week. And thank you very much, Suparna. Have a great evening.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.